Welcome to the tutorial for Whomp. And it's a pretty decent game. It's not bad. It's also kind of shitty though too. It's got some hit detection issues, which kind of take the game down for me. It ruins it a little bit. Ruins it a lot, I would say. But underneath that, it's a pretty solid game. It's pretty fun aside from some of the frustrating issues. I wasn't going to do a commentary for this, but there's some things worth explaining as far as how to max out your health, and especially on the final level, how to get the energy tank type of things that you can store extra health. In case you lose all your health, you'll get it replenished by those energy tanks. You don't have to fill them up like in Mega Man and some other similar games. They're already basically like half full. I think they'll fill out like half of your maximum health. And you can have maybe up to 16 hearts or something like that. I don't know. You'll see when it's maxed out. I'll show you how to do that. The way it works is when you kill enemies, a lot of times they'll drop these little bottles. They're like figure 8 shaped. And if you either press select or start, I think it's select, you'll see how many more you need to get. It'll show a number. It'll say like more, and then it'll say a number. When you get that many of them, it'll give you another heart permanently of health. So if you get enough of them, you can see it says more 9 right there. So if I get 9 more, it's going to give me another heart on my health, which means I can take more damage. So I'm going to show a really good area to farm that. You could actually do that level first. You have to do this level first no matter what, because I think it's like an intro level. There's no boss. But then after that, you can select any order you want. So what you probably would want to do is maybe start with the level where you can farm the health items, which I'll show a little bit later. I don't remember offhand exactly which level it was, but I may mark it with a timestamp after I watch this video again and do the commentary. I tried to edit down the farming so there's not too much of it in the video, otherwise the video would be very long. This did take me around 2 hours and 45 minutes to beat. There was a good amount of that was just farming for health tanks and shit like that. You know, it can be kind of annoying. But one good thing about this game, it has unlimited continues, but there's no lives. So if you lose a life, you have to go to the continue screen and start the stage over. There's no checkpoints in the levels or anything like that. But if you upgrade your health or get any of the containers to upgrade your health, that's all saved. So that's the only thing that saves that I'm aware of. So you can just farm and you can die repeatedly, and eventually you can get your health up really high. And that's going to make a big difference, because when you get max health, picking up those bottles, they'll start to replenish your health when you pick them up, so they become health items. Since, you can't upgrade your health any further, they just heal you a little bit. So it makes it a lot easier even during the levels to get your health back. So there's that benefit, and then there's, the fact that you have max health, you can take a lot more damage. There's also a samurai helmet. Getting that will mean that you take less damage for a while until it wears out. And there's this little arrowhead type of thing. I think that makes your attacks more powerful. So those are both useful things that you can farm if you want to use maybe briefly on the bosses. The bosses are kind of like a fuckfest for me. I mean, a lot of times you're trading a lot of hits because the hit detection feels so sloppy, and the movement of your character can be kind of sloppy feeling, to me at least. I think it was the hit detection that really made the game feel sloppy to me a lot of times. I mean, there's a lot of times you'll see in the video where my spear goes right through the enemy and doesn't kill him. Like, I don't know, it's just strange to me. It seems super inaccurate, but that's just what you have to deal with this game. Luckily, you can get, as I said, a lot of health, and that means you can take a lot of hits and get through areas. And once you know where some of the secret hearts and life, like energy tank type containers are at, you can just take the hits and run to those areas and get your health back. Or you can just farm your health back if you need to, which is what I do a lot of times. So you'll see me play sloppy a lot of times just because I know I can get health back later. So I'm not worried about it. I'm not going to play better if I don't even have to. I mean, I can just go get my health back. I'll just run through shit, Those hearts will give you all your health back pretty much. And yeah, this guy can be kind of annoying. I guess there is a boss on the first level. I think this is still the first level. This guy can be kind of, kind of annoying. I think I died several times on him before I beat him. because you don't have a lot of health at this point. And I don't know, I find them kind of hard to dodge. Like, I don't really understand exactly how to dodge a lot of the attacks in this game. I'm sure there's a way to play it better. It's just, I find the game to be a little confusing and the hit detection to be kind of weird. It does have a cool system where if you do levels in a certain order, you have different weapons and different special abilities that you can earn. Like in Mega Man, where if you kill a boss on a level, you get a new weapon. You press start to change your weapons. So you can cycle through your weapons by hitting start once you have a few different ones. So you may want to do things in a certain order if you want a certain weapon for a certain boss or something like that. But honestly, I found the weapons to be pretty fucking useless on bosses, the upgraded weapons. I didn't really only find use for them against certain enemies and things like that. So I don't know. I think that's kind of a missed opportunity too. The weapons could have been more like Mega Man, where they hurt certain bosses more. It would have been more interesting, but they seem kind of, they're not really that unique. And now you'll see my health is quite a bit higher than it was on the previous stage. That's because deaths are edited out, as well as the farming and stuff like that. Most of that I edited out. So I just did some basic farming. All you got to do is find an area where a lot of enemies respawn. You can just kill them, move the screen a little bit, and they'll spawn back. And just keep killing the enemies over and over again. There's a shitload of areas in the game where you can do that. So just find an area where it's easy for you to do that without taking a lot of damage. Up here, that's an energy tank right there. So go up there and just jump around and you'll make it pop out. There's a lot of secret items that come out like that it helps to know where the energy tank is in each level. There's usually at least one of them. You can also get them, I think, by farming enough enemies if you really, really want to fucking spend a lot of time farming enemies. But if you get decent enough at the boss, you shouldn't need to do that. And if you farm up enough hearts, you should be, you should have plenty of health for a lot of the bosses. You just have to have a general idea what to do on them and play them fairly proficiently. I found them to be tricky just because, I don't know, the hit detection, the movement is a little weird to me in this game. I find myself taking damage a lot and my hit's not landing. When normally I play a game like this, I wouldn't have as much of an issue. But you got more inconsistent games back in this era, so you just take the good for what it is. Underneath, it's a pretty good game. It's pretty cool, but it would have been a lot better with some improvements, like more meaningful weapons and better hit detection and things like that. But it's still, I thought it was pretty good overall. Now, what the energy tank does is, you see I got that samurai thing in the bottom left. That means I can take more damage. It gives you a higher defense, basically. And see, I have that energy tank on the top right. You see there's just only one there. You can get up to 3. But the energy tank, if all my health goes away, it'll replenish some of my health. That's basically what it does, like in Mega Man, those kind of games. But you see, sometimes I'll even just jump in the lava and just jump through because I don't even really care. I usually know where I can get health back and things like that. So sometimes I'll just play real fucking sloppy and just get to the end. When I do these playthroughs, they're not really intended for, like a tutorial type of thing. But I just add commentary and explain what I did to win. And I usually find a lot of easy methods and things. So it'll be useful for a lot of people, I think. But when I play, I'm just trying to beat games. So if you see me playing a fighting game, you'll see me spamming one move if I can to beat a game. I'll do whatever the game allows me to do. I exploit games all the time. But my goal is just usually to beat a game or beat a challenge, like a hard mode or whatever the case is. So I'm just going for the kill. So a lot of times you'll see methods that they're not the best to look at, because I'm trying to save time. I don't like to spend more time with a game than I have to if I'm just trying to beat it. I try to get through pretty quick. And I'll practice the parts with save and load states that I feel like I need to practice, because they may waste a lot of my time. If you get far in a level and you keep dying at one part, that's the kind of part that I would practice immediately to make sure I have it down. I use save and load states to practice games, parts of games. And then I put the games together. I didn't have to do that too much with this. I did that on the bosses, though. I think I did that on some of the bosses. Or maybe not, I may have just been stubborn and just went back and did the levels over and over again, because I was getting more health as I played the levels a lot of times, because I was farming those health pickups. So I may have not done that a lot. I did it on the last boss for sure. The last boss, I just wanted to have an idea of what to do on him, because he can be a pain in the ass. I pretty much exchange hits with him. But I'll explain all that at the end. Here you see me fucking around because I'm trying to see if I can find any hidden items. A lot of times they're hidden, and if you jump around, you'll get stuff to pop up sometimes. So I was just looking around, see what I could find. Once you find, like one of the energy tanks in the level, it's a huge help because it means you'll have a lot of extra health to kill the boss with. Here I'm going to show the best farming area in the game. This is where I would recommend going, maybe even doing this stage first so you can get in this little area and max out your health. By holding down, you also do a down thrust, so, you can also do an up thrust by holding up and jumping. But, yeah, here's the area. I edited this down. I was here for a long time. I got all my health maxed out, so that's part of the reason why my playthrough, took almost 3 hours, is because of the farming and shit like that. I mean, I didn't die an insane amount on the game. But, yeah, you'll see it's majorly edited down, but basically this is all you got to do. Just keep going up and down, and the enemies will come back. So just kill them and, collect all your shit. You get enough of those little figure-8 shaped vases and you'll max out your health. See, it says more 30. The last heart, you have to get like 99 of them. So, yeah, it takes a while. I mean, it does take some time. But it's worth it. Because it just makes the rest of the game a lot more manageable. So I'd recommend doing it. You see, all of a sudden, I also have 3 energy tanks up at the top. That's because I got those energy tanks just by farming enemies. So, if you kill enough enemies, you'll generally be able to get the energy tanks, too. But the energy tanks, they take really long to get, usually. I mean, there's a very low probability of the enemy dropping an energy tank, it seems. So, sometimes if you really want them, you could be farming for a long time if you're having that much trouble and you really need them. But I'm going to explain. The last level, I was wasting time trying to farm and get them. But there's actually a really easy way to get them by not really farming in the beginning of the level. And then near the end, you can get like 3 of them for some reason, it seems. So, yeah, after this, I finished. But, yeah, I'll explain all that when I'm at that point in the video. But that's the main reason I made the video. Because, like I said, this is all self-explanatory. I don't really need to explain the fighting and stuff in the game. But the thing with the energy tanks and the way the game works, the unlimited continues, it saves all your progress. Even when you die, you keep all your little vases that you got to max out your health. So you can just keep working on that and getting it up. This is another area where you could farm a ton of enemies, but the other area I found to be better. It's I was able to spawn the enemies quicker and farm better over there. But yeah, the last level is really... And for this guy, the main thing you do with this guy, I did it very sloppy, but you want to hit him at the peak of his jump and then duck. Because if you hit him too low, he spreads out and there's no way to get away from him. But if you hit him when he's up high, you can duck and the enemy will go over you. See, that's too low. That's too low. You have to get him when he's like higher up. I mean, I had a lot of energy tanks, so I didn't really, give a shit. I mean, I tried to do decent. But like I said, man, I find this game awkward. I would have to practice more to get good at the bosses and shit, but I don't care about that. I just wanted to beat the game. See, I used one of my energy tanks there. And then I think I get real sloppy at the end and waste like almost all my energy tanks, which is really shitty playing. But, like I said, it didn't really matter at this point. I tried to do well, but, I mean, I wasn't like that concerned. I found it very, very awkward. The game also has a lot of flicker. Sometimes things kind of disappear a little bit, which is a little distracting, but... Now I have the cloud item. The cloud item lets you bypass some platforming sections and things like that. It's very useful for that. Though the cloud is a pain in the ass, it's kind of hard to jump on. It usually misses your jump. It's very finicky. But if you're patient with it, you can pull some bullshit and get past some stuff. You'll probably find it useful on the parts that I use it on. Up thrust works pretty decently on those flying elephant characters. They have kind of a tricky movement sometimes. It's a little weird. But there's going to be parts, I think there's parts in the level where even if you take damage, you can refill your health and things like that. So a lot of times it's more about knowing where the hearts and certain things are to refill your health, and you can just take a good amount of damage. There's not a ton of platforming in the game. There's not really any real tricky platforming. The last level has, some platforming, but it's really not that tricky if you play it carefully and use the cloud. And I'll explain my technique for that. I think here I did a little bit farming that I left in, but, not much. I may have been farming either for getting some of my health back, or maybe trying to get that samurai thing so I can, have a higher defense for the boss. Or the arrowhead, which lets you do more damage for a little while. I may have been trying to get something like that. Okay, maybe not. I guess I edited it out. But I did farm a lot at that point at one time, before I knew about that really good farming area that I just showed. Here, you just kind of hold down jump when you land on these things, and you'll fly up. It's they're a little finicky. Like sometimes you hold jump and like you just do a little short jump. It's kind of fucking annoying, but it's not too bad. Like I said, the game, it's not always the most precise game, that's for sure, but at least you get enough health and shit to make up for some of the, deficiencies. Here I'm just going back to try to get some of my health back mainly, but this is not a good farming area. I should have just left, because this rolling guy is very annoying. But I think I was just playing him sloppy. There's probably an easy way to kill the guy. I find them very hard to hit. I don't know. Like I said, the game's got some weird shit that you would think you're making contact with the guy at times, and it's like it doesn't do anything. And it's very weird. I mean, a lot of those hits look like they connected to me, but, according to the game, that's not good enough. So, you're going to be dealing with that. It was cool to play this game and beat it, though. I had tried it before, briefly in the past, but it's always cool to beat games. I'm willing to put up with a certain amount of bullshit in games generally, but if a game has too much bullshit, then it just becomes kind of a bad game to me, and I won't necessarily go through it. I try to play things that I'm kind of at least enjoying to some extent, making progress, but some games I just can't get into, like Battletoads for NES. I just hate the fucking control, and I hate how heavily reliant it is on memorizing every little... it's a hugely memorization-based game with bad control. Even though I know a lot of people highly regard it, I consider it a pretty shitty game. I do like the multi-genre approach and some of the design, and the music is good and all that, but, gameplay for me is where it's at. I don't care how good a game looks and sounds. If it, plays like shit, which to me Battletoads plays like shit. I mean, I'm sure I could adapt to the control if I spend enough time with it. I just don't want to, because there's much better games that I'd rather play. Like Metal Storm on Expert, super fucking hard, but the control is super fucking tight, so you can't blame the control. That's a game with some awesome gameplay. Here you're just gonna, hit this thing when it drops down. You want to keep some distance from it if you can. And that's about it. Until it turns into... This part can be tricky. This is where it helps to have a lot of health so you can fuck up a bit. But when it gets down in the lower area, sometimes you can get in a lot of hits on it because it'll keep going back into your spear. I think I get it in a few little combos like that, which are good. See, it's like moving around kind of close, and it kind of keeps going back into your spear. Sometimes it'll stay like that for a while, I saw on a video. And you can get, it makes it much easier. But on this run, he was moving up a lot, going up high. He was getting hard to hit. But I guess I ended up scraping by and beating it. I don't really have any great tips for the boss fights on this. It's not much of a tutorial aside from, explaining about the energy tanks and the continue system. That's the main thing I wanted to explain. I could have just wrote that in like a little description, but nobody really reads those. And I figured maybe it would be entertaining to have a commentary video out because, it gives it a little bit of, a little bit more entertainment than just watching the game. But I always put both versions out, so I have the version with all the sound and everything as well. So check that out if you don't want to, hear my fucking voice. I just kind of fucked around with the order until I found levels that I was beating. I mean, if I didn't beat a level a few times, then I might go and try another level. Because eventually you'll come back with all your health maxed out. And you should do that early on. And then, you may have to practice some of the levels a few times, but it's just a matter of time. Nothing's that hard in the game, really. The last level's a pain in the ass. It's got very annoying shit. But there's a lot of things you can know about the last level that you won't have to spend too much time with it if you keep a few things in mind, which, like I said, I'll break that all down when I get to that level. But yeah, you can skip ahead if you already pretty much have the idea about this. Yeah, I played through Bucky O'Hare recently. That was a much harder game, but also, in some ways, very forgiving as well because it has unlimited continues and a lot of checkpoints that it lets you start at. So, and it was addictive. But, you know, like I said, that game had some things, too, that annoyed me, some trial and error things that were kind of annoying. And the hit detection in that game was good, but your character's a little bit too big, so, you know, you hit into shit pretty easily. But the control was very tight, so overall it was a very good game. And may try hard at some point. Hard mode is only accessible by password and you die in one hit, so that I would have to play that completely differently. But, you know, it would be cool to beat. Bucky O'Hare for NES I was referring to. I think that maybe, I don't know if there's any other Bucky O'Hare games. I've never heard of any that I can think of, but I had no familiarity with the cartoon or the comics or anything. It was a game that I picked up because it was a Konami game, and I picked it up used from a mail order site. I think it was Game Dude, it was Funko Land is what it was. And it was just, sending in a check and marking off a list. And I got a bunch of games at that time. I'd saved my money for a long time. I think I spent like $500 on all used games, and I had them coming in all at different times. It was great. This was before emulation, so, at the time that was amazing. So one of the games I picked up was Bucky O'Hare. And I remember I got pretty far, but for whatever reason I couldn't figure out how to beat a certain part, so I never beat it. And there was no videos back then or anything. There was no internet. Not as we know it today anyway. I don't think I had any kind of internet access or anything. So, see, there's an energy tank there. Don't forget to jump around and pick that one up on that ledge. Like I said, you really do want to find where those are in the levels. It makes things way fucking easier. I mean, if you wanted to, I guess you could max them out by farming enemies for a very long fucking time, but you'd be at it for a while. And I'm not even sure if all enemies will give an energy tank eventually. It seems like they will if you farm them long enough, but, I didn't test it enough, so I'm not even sure. But I'm guessing you could get them if you farmed enemies long enough. Because I was getting them when I was farming that one level. I ended up getting 3 of them, and I've got them in other areas by farming, so it seems like it's possible to get it, to get them. There's also a trick I read in the cheat section that if you commit suicide really fast, you can start with 3 energy tanks. I don't know if that's only on the first level or in the beginning of the game or what. I didn't get it to work, but I only messed with it briefly. I wouldn't really consider that illegitimate because, I mean, you could end up dying fast in a level and not even realize you were doing a code or anything. And anyway, you can max out your energy tanks if you spend enough time farming like easy enemies. It's just a waste of your time, is what it is. But yeah, here I like to use the down thrust. You just hold down. I was trying to press the button at the right time. All you got to do is jump up in the air and just hold the down arrow or the down direction, and you'll just bounce off of whatever's underneath you. That's all you got to just leave it held down. Don't release it when you're trying to bounce. And that's it. I pretty much I just try to down thrust on this guy whenever he appears. I had plenty of health, so that was my only real strategy, just trying to get the hits in. I wasn't really trying to do much dodging, really. I was just trying to get on his ass and aggressively take him out. As long as you get in there with a few energy tank and, decent health and everything, it shouldn't be too hard to beat like this. The biggest issue is the final level. There's a lot of bullshit going on there, so that's where I'll try to clear some of the details up. You also see that there were some robot enemies where I used the spear with the web on the end of it. It shows a spider icon. That's the best way to deal with those guys. The different weapons do have some different uses. You've probably saw me using some different ones. Some weapons just work better on some enemies, and I think the robots can't even be killed unless you use the web spear. So, if you want to kill them, a lot of times you can just take the hits from them anyway and just grab health somewhere else. So, not hugely important to know. But there's not, there's not a hell of a lot to talk about with the game, so, try to break down some of the nuances. This is the semi-final level in the order that I did them anyway, so this is going to be the last one before the final stage. And this boss is a pain in the ass. The boss coming up is probably the hardest one out of the, the initial bosses before you unlock the last stage. He bounces around a lot. I died on him a number of times, but of course having full health and learning a little bit about it helped. You can strike him when he's in his ball form. So you can try to get in some extra hits while he's bouncing around. And then you can hit him. You can hit his hand back as well. So if he throws the hand at you can hit it at him. It won't hurt him, but it'll stop it from hurting you. So there's that. And when he stands on the ground, of course, that's when he throws the hand. You can also damage him at that point. So you will probably be taking a lot of hits unless you really learn to dodge him. He's very hard to dodge, but as long as you're getting in the hits consistently and you get them with a lot of health and shit, it shouldn't be too bad. Of course, having some energy tanks would help. I think getting to him without energy tanks, I wouldn't have beat him unless I really learned him better. I took all the hits here because, see, I can just get all my health back from that heart. And that's the kind of shit I do. I do shit like that when I don't need, like I said, it saves me time to just run through and take all the hits. Just get the heart. There's no need to play that part slowly. Unless you're doing a no damage run or something like that, but this game's really not that popular anyway. I don't know if people are even really doing runs of this game, but I wouldn't want to do a no damage run of this game because it's kind of sloppy, Definitely wouldn't want. I would hate to do it for this game. I don't usually do that kind of shit anyway. I generally just play like hardest modes and shit like that. I don't do a lot of like personal challenges like speed runs and stuff like that. I would like to do more speed runs and one credit arcade runs, on one coin. I've only done a few of those, just fucking around, but very few. Now here there's going to be an energy tank that you can get, but if you miss it and it falls to the ground, it's gone permanently and it will not respawn until you start the level over. So basically don't miss it. You definitely want to get that. I fall here a lot because the controls are shittier than they look, with this shit. So just be aware it's going to pop up around there. Yeah, be ready to fall. Just get it, Take the fall just to get it. Don't try to, platform your way to the top. Get ready just to fall and grab it. Because, it's not, like I said, it doesn't spawn back, so make sure you get that. It's going to be well worth it for the boss. Otherwise, the boss, you're not going to have much of a chance if you get there without the energy tanks, unless you're really good at them or something. But then you wouldn't really be looking at this video for any help or anything. It looks like it should be really easy, and it's stupid. You have to like climb all the way down to get the stupid fucking platforms to respawn. They should just be ready to repeat again, but it's not how it works. So typical shit for some of these old games. I was playing it a little bit slower here because, it's not as responsive as you would expect it to be. And then, of course, I tried to jump from that one all the way up to the top, but I had to be up a little higher, so now I got to do it again. But yeah, I didn't want to edit down my platforming failures. I just wanted to edit it down like the farming because there's no risk for that. It's just like a very long period of just killing the same enemies and respawning, so I pretty much edited most of that down. This would have been a very long video if I left all that in. And very boring. Here you can use the cloud. This is where you just select the cloud and you just use your weapon button as you normally would, and it'll make the cloud come out. And when the cloud's out, then you have to try to jump on it, but it's very finicky with that. So, yeah, it's not always going to do what you want it to do. A lot of times you'll go right through it. Get that energy tank there, too. I found that out at the last minute. I didn't even know that existed, but be wary of the energy tank on that ledge, Don't scroll the level immediately. Try to jump if you have to try to make it appear or something, Because a lot of times you have to stand in an area and jump to make secret items appear like that. So, if you need to, just do that and you may be able to get it to appear. That was the first time I saw it. So yeah, with this, try to dodge when he bounces. Try to anticipate where the next bounce is going to come. And like I said, this game's pretty sloppy with the hit detection. And try to hit the ball while it's moving and hit him when he's on the ground. As well as if you're the right distance, try to hit his hand back at him so it doesn't hurt you. It won't hurt him, but it will keep it from damaging you. So keep those things in mind. And as long as you're getting in all that damage from hitting him when he's moving and hitting him on the ground, you should be able to kill him pretty fast. Initially, I wasn't trying to hit him when he was in his ball form. And I died when I tried to do it that way. So getting in those extra hits when he's bouncing around made a huge difference. Yeah, that's it for the main level. So now you're on the final stage now. And a few things that I'll explain. I was trying to farm energy tanks in the beginning of the final level. And you can do that if you really want to, but there's really no need to do it in that area. It's a harder area, and it takes super long if you try to do that. So I'm going to explain how to beat the final level faster, because you're going to need all your fucking energy tanks and pretty much all your health for the final boss. It's pretty fucking ridiculous. I mean, you're going to be exchanging damage. Pretty much, it's who wears the other person down first. You know, it's just like trading blows, pretty much. So, and like I said, I'm sure there's better ways to play, but you know, unless you really know how to do it better, you're gonna want all the health you can get, and then you can do it without busting your ass practicing the shit out of it. As long as you just kind of know what's going on, you'll be all right. I'll try to explain the details of the order to do things and break it down. Here you always get a heart there, so always go up on that platform and jump and get the heart. That way, the purpose of that is that you can take a ton of damage on that first section. You don't even have to try to dodge anything, because you can just go get the heart. So remember that whenever there's a big heart item in this level, it will reappear. I think there might be other ones, but there's definitely one there. Yeah, there's other ones, but I don't really know how to get them. But I usually get them on accident. But that one, you can always get that one, and it's easy to know where it is. So, you know, just take the damage when you come back down here, because you are going to be coming back to this area. If you fall in the next area, it'll suck you down and bring you back here. So if you have to repeat this area, just remember you can run through the first part and grab the heart. Also, that previous area is where I was initially farming energy tanks, but it didn't seem to work very well. So I recommend not doing it there. So don't even worry about farming energy tanks until I show you the area where you can get all three. You can get them all, so you'll have full energy tanks for the boss. So don't worry about trying to play parts over and trying to farm these parts like I was. You know, by this point I knew I didn't have to farm anymore at that beginning part, so I'll show you what to do. You need to use your fire spear to burn these ice cubes away so you can get through, so just keep that in mind. But, you know, it's pretty clear. You want to do a double up thrust and anticipate that wooden thing that comes down, that spiky thing. Now here's where you're going to use your cloud. For this area, just play it very safely. Always plan where you're going to fall down to, because these guys are going to keep spawning. So keep an eye on when they're coming, and if they're coming out, try to do a down thrust and bounce off of them twice to kill them, and make sure there's a platform below for you to land on afterwards. So just plan out your movement. Don't move through too fast, or you'll probably fuck up, and then you'll have to do that first part over again. You'll have to do the whole stage over again if you fall down. So, you know, it's not a ton of shit to redo, but it's a waste of time. You will be able to get all your health and shit back pretty much with that big heart, but I mean, why go back and repeat that if you don't have to? Just play it very carefully. You know, move the cloud, and if the cloud starts blinking, get off of it. It means it's gonna disappear. The cloud length seems fucking random. Sometimes it lasts long, sometimes it doesn't, and I have no idea what triggers that. But just keep an eye on it. Just play it carefully and slowly. Get ready to down thrust and bounce off of those guys when they do appear. And make sure you have a platform beneath you to land on when the guy does die from your down thrust. I was luckily able to get that energy tank somehow, because usually when they go off screen they disappear, but I guess that one wasn't too far down. I think that one appears on that cloud, so keep that in mind, and you know, try to get it off of that cloud when you play. This part is kind of shitty playing. You use your fire spear to basically thrust, and don't worry about hitting the guys. Don't worry about collecting items here. Just get through it, because you'll be able to get all your shit back later. So don't just... Your only objective here should just be to get through this. Sometimes you want to hold it down to get a longer thrust. Sometimes you want to tap it rapidly. You got to experiment to get through. As you can see, I wasn't that good at it, but eventually you should get through it. And as long as you don't, you know, as long as you make it through and survive, because you can probably get all your energy tanks back in like one of the next areas. So just get through this. And don't worry about, you know, too much about the damage you're taking. Don't worry about collecting shit. It's just kind of an annoying, you know, kind of plays shitty. But I think it's the only part like this in the game, so. the rest of the stage is easy except until you get to the last boss, but I'll explain everything, and I'll make it so that you can beat the last boss in way less tries because I'll break it down. And you should be ready to play the game. After watching this video, you should pretty much have everything you need to know. Yeah, so this is the farming area. See what I'm doing right here? I'm making the guys spawn again and again. And I do 2 up thrusts for each one. Just keep repeating this. It's very fucking easy. You just hold up and jump and you'll do an up thrust move. So just keep doing that shit. And get whatever you want. If you want armor, you can do that. If you want these little droplets, whatever the fuck that you want to get. But after you're done farming, I'll show you where you can get some energy tanks. See, right there, 2 of them appear. You may even get 3 if you don't have any of them. I think I've gotten 3 there before. But yeah, you'll get at least 2, maybe 3. So that's where you get your energy tanks. That way you don't have to farm for them. So keep that in mind. That's going to be very important. It'll save you a shitload of time. Because I was trying to farm on this level every time I fucking died. It took super long. And you do not need to do that. For this part, just run through, and you're going to be at the final boss, and I'll explain that. To start off with, use the spinning spear. Hold it down in short bursts of holding it. Don't rapidly tap it because the enemy will get through. Just hold it down a little bit, then hold it down a little bit, release, hold it down a little bit, release. That'll take out the first 2 enemies. Use the flame spear on the 3rd enemy. Hold it down. For the 4th enemy, the green guy, just use your dragon. It's a dragon that kills guys in 1 hit, normal enemies. Then just use regular spear with down thrust for the 5th enemy. For this ball guy, I also use the dragon item. Now, the dragon item is super powerful, but it also drains your health every time you use it. So don't miss. Now, for this guy, all you do is shoot the bulb when it appears in between his hands, when it fully forms. Shoot it and dodge the balls if you can that are bouncing. Another thing to note that's very, very fucking important, he will appear right on you and do major damage to your body. So, in order to avoid that, start moving as he's starting to fade out of the picture. When you see him fading out, that's when you start moving, and then he won't appear right on your ass. So get used to timing that, because that was getting me killed. If you don't know that, you will die fast. So you get ready to move as he's fading, and because if his body touches yours, you take massive damage. So don't want that to happen. But aside from that, just keep shooting him with this dragon move. And the dragon move is one of the weapons that you select. You get it when you get to the final level. It's a new weapon that you get for beating all the stages. So yeah, that's really all you need to know. You know, you just need to know how to deal with those first few enemies before you're able to fight the boss. And just use the weapons that I detailed and the way I said to do it. And then just, continue using the dragon for the rest of the boss fight. The bouncing balls, don't worry too much about dodging those. I wasn't able to dodge those well. You don't really need to be able to dodge them well. As long as you deal with the initial enemies well enough, you'll have plenty of health to get through that. Just don't let him appear on you too much. You want to, move as he's starting to fade is when you start moving, and keep moving. And you should be able to dodge it. But yeah, that's pretty much it. That's really all you need to know to beat the game. If you have any other questions, let me know. Give me some feedback if you like about what games you'd like to see me play, any changes to the commentary format. And thanks for watching.